dugsiga boardingka iyo maalinlaha ah ee Amano Boarding and Day School.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome my dear students and Ramadan Kareem. This is chapter 4. Still we have chapter 4, lesson 5. So in our last two lessons we have been talking about pyramids, which is another way of writing food chains. Today we have a different topic. We have what's called a nutrient cyclist. Okay. Nutrients anyway. So nutrients include carbon, nitrogen, essential elements in our body. And you know the word cycle, please. Cycle is something which makes like a circular. So if I move from here, for example, this is my original position. I move from here, and then when I reach this point, I go back to my original position. So this is a cycle. So what the topic is about nutrients making a cycle. Yeah, moving from one part of the ecosystem and going back to their original place. A nutrient cycle refers to the movement and exchange of organic and inorganic matter back into the production of living matter, please. Back into the production of what? A living matter. Let me give you a very simple example. Plants, for example, need certain chemicals or minerals to make food by photosynthesis. They absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. You see, please. They absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to make food by photosynthesis. So, when this carbon dioxide from the air is utilized, a molecule or anyway food is being produced. Okay, so an animal may eat this food, may feed that leaf, please. For example, when animals eat food, they respire. Respire means what? They release energy from the food they consume. So, as the animals respire, they release carbon dioxide back into the air. They release carbon dioxide back into the air. So, as carbon dioxide reaches into the atmosphere again, it can be then absorbed again by the plants, and then it goes on like this. This is the nutrient cycle. So, organic means food, and inorganic here example means what, please? Carbon dioxide. So this is all about what we are going to talk about: an organic or inorganic molecule which just comes back into the production of a living matter. The process is regulated by the food web pathways previously presented. Previously we learned about the food webs, which shows us that one member of the ecosystem or in the habitat feeds on different animals in the habitat. So different reactions have been taking place, and predation and decomposition and so on, production of food and so on. So it's always as a result of food web, which decomposes organic matter into inorganic nutrients. So nutrient cycles occur within ecosystems. Some of the major, you see this word, please, biogeochemical. Some of the major biogeochemical cycles are as follows. So before we see the in cycles, let's look at the word biogeochemical. I think if you take, for example, a water cycle, if you take water cycle, your chemistry teacher taught you a water cycle, your geography teacher taught you a water cycle, and also biology teacher is being taught you a water cycle. So this is not what only the biology concerns, but also the geography and chemistry. So that's why we are saying biogeochemical processes. A cycle is a biogeochemical processes. So these include water cycle or hydrologic cycle, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, and oxygen cycle. This is some examples. There are many different cycles: sulfur cycle, phosphor cycle, too many, please, too many. Why I made these two yellow is that in biology, Form 3 biology, you are going to focus on these two cycles, the carbon cycle and the nitrogen cycle. The product of an ecosystem take up several basic inorganic nutrients from their non-living environments. Okay, let's look at the carbon cycle, please. Okay, my dear students, do you have an idea about the carbon? Do you think that a carbon is a gas or solid or liquid? Well, a carbon is not a gas. It's not a gas in nature, like, you know, nitrogens. So we cannot get gas as a pure carbon as a pure gas in the atmosphere. So whenever we are going to talk about the carbon cycle, we use carbon dioxide. And the reason behind this is that carbon is not a gas. It's not a gas. And biological compounds are carbon-based. Inshallah, when you come to Form 4, you will learn what's called biomolecules. Biomolecules, which means biological compounds found in the body of living organisms. So all biological compounds are based on carbon. The carbon is the backbone of what? Biological compounds. Some, organic, in organic chemistry, you usually say, because carbon has a different speciality according to the other elements. Number one, carbon is the only element that can make a long chain. Carbon is the only element that can make a long chain. Number two, they also say carbon bonds are relatively strong. Carbon bonds are relatively strong. This is why usually carbon is a little bit different from other elements, and it's used in organic chemistry. Carbon enter food chains during photosynthesis. So here we have one. Let me tell you something. When you are going to talk about a cycle, you need to keep in mind two things. Number one, where does that cycle takes place, please? So for example, now we are going to talk about carbon cycle. The cycle is between the atmosphere and the let's say plants and animals. So the cycle is between these, please. It's between this cycle is between this. And the other thing is to know what type of processes removes the carbon, for example, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere into the ecosystem, and what other parts of processes can return carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. So a carbon enters food chains during photosynthesis. this is the only process which removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Photosynthesis, please remember. Where plants use atmospheric carbon dioxide to synthesize glucose. To synthesize what? Glucose. And here we have respiration and combustion. Sometimes we can add decay. And these three retains carbon dioxide to the atmosphere as carbon dioxide, So you see, carbon dioxide comes from the atmosphere into the ecosystem through photosynthesis. Through what? Photosynthesis, and goes back into the atmosphere either through respiration or combustion or decay, or what, please? Decay. The carbon cycling. This is the first process which removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So now we are talking about the process that removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and later on we will talk about the other processes that add carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So photosynthesis, green plants remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. They remove carbon dioxide from what? The atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide as a result of their photosynthesis. Because carbon dioxide is the major raw material of photosynthesis. The carbon of the carbon dioxide, you see please, the carbon of the carbon dioxide, we said carbon cannot be found in the atmosphere as a carbon because it is a solid, but we can find in the form of carbon dioxide compound. So that's why we are saying the carbon of the carbon dioxide is spilled first into a carbohydrate, glucose, such as what, please? Sugar is. Some of these is changed into starch or cellulose of the cell walls, and the protein is pigments and compounds and other compounds of the plant. What we mean this? When plants do this, the animals may feed on plants, getting these, different compounds which contain carbon, which contain what, please? Carbon. And when these carbon compounds are utilized by the animals, carbon dioxide is again produced and released back into the atmosphere. So this is photosynthesis, and the sunlight provides energy for the process. It's the source of energy. It's the source of what? Energy. Water absorbed by the roots, and carbon dioxide are the raw material. So the water and the carbon dioxide together produce the the carbohydrate. Chlorophyll, where chemical reaction is happening. So if I just make very simple and summary about what we learned today, and especially carbon dioxide, we said there are 4 processes or 3 processes whereby one process removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, whereby, and the other 3. So you have here a plant, for example. We have here a plant. We have here the animal. Here we have what? The atmosphere. This is the plant, and that's what? The animal. What we are going to talk about is a carbon dioxide. Very simple diagram, please, if you are going to draw this. So plants taking carbon dioxide to make food by what, please? Photosynthesis. So photosynthesis removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and plants are eaten by animals. So both animals and plants respire, which means bringing carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere due to respiration, please. Yes. if for example if we have a woods and then, or fuel for example, and then we paint it, that produces carbon dioxide and brings it back to the atmosphere. Painting sometimes decay. Plants and animals die, then this decomposition of their decay will produce carbon dioxide and goes back to the atmosphere. So inshallah, that's what we have today. So today we learned about the nutrient cycles. So we said a nutrient cycle is the exchange of nutrients, which can either be organic or inorganic, back into the production of the a site. Nutrient cycles are too many, but the most important ones that we are going to learn in biology is carbon cycle and nitrogen cycle. And today we learn some introduction about the carbon cycle. So inshallah we'll continue. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.